Good morning. It's Valentine's Day, so I thought I'd wear my red shirt. I thought I would light a cigar and tell you a story. Today I'm smoking my Maduro. It has a gold band, and my box cigars come with a cedar sleeve, and then the Connecticut has a pink band, the Habano has blue, and the Maduro has a gold band. So this is the darkest cigar that I have. It's the strongest. It's Dominican filler and binder, but the wrapper is a San Andreas Mexico wrapper, which has an oily sweetness to it. And the wrapper is 80% of the flavor of the cigar. So let me get it lit here. You know, Valentine's Day is this crazy day. Crazy, crazy day. I think mostly it's about making money. But there's a lot of good to be had in this day as well, even if you aren't in a romantic relationship, which I don't have any romance in my life. Not of the kind that, the world thinks defines Valentine's Day. But I have so much love in my life. February has a date in it that I celebrate. It's February 28th. It's the day I got out of the homeless shelter. This year will make 8 years that I've been out of the homeless shelter. The day I went in, October 31st, 2016, I thought it might be the end of me. It was infinity. I didn't know when I was going to get out, if I was going to get out. I had no idea. And it was just this endless pit of homelessness in front of me. Now, I was only in the homeless shelter 4 months. And if someone had said, you're going to be in the homeless shelter 4 months, I would have thought I could do anything for 4 months. But I had no idea till like 4 days before I got out that I was going to get out. So it was a very long period of time. How I got out is one day a Starbucks customer asked me, "Where do you live?" Now, people ask me all the time, "Where are you from?" They still ask me that. They claim I have an accent. Where are you from? But nobody ever asks, "Where do you live?" And I didn't have an answer ready. And I had just been in the shelter probably 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And I just said, I live in a homeless shelter. Now, she asked if her and her husband could meet with me the next morning. They came in almost every day. There were 2 of my favorites. And I said, sure. So when I got off work, we sit down. He said, can I ask questions? I said, yeah, ask what you want. He asked personal financial questions. And when we were done, he was just like, Deetra, we just know you as our barista, but we love you. We can't imagine what you're going through. And for the next 6 months, we want to give you this many hundreds of dollars a month, and we don't ever want to be paid back. You know what the definition of love is? Giving without expecting in return. That was true love. Changed my life. And the drummer in my band, I had done one music show, had bought an apartment in Harlem, knew I was in the shelter, told me to come out and see about renting a room. So I hiked out to Harlem, quite the hike. I decided to rent a room from him. He's a nice guy. But in the homeless shelter, I kept thinking, if I ever get out of here, what's the first thing I want to do? What's going to matter to me that first morning when I wake up? It was drinking a cup of coffee. And so when I got out of the shelter, I had a bed delivered. I'd worked 2 jobs when I was in the shelter. I'd saved some money. So I had a single bed delivered in Mattress Box Springs. And I moved to 134th and Broadway. And on the corner there of 134th and Broadway was a store called El Mundo. It is this huge store with everything and cheap prices. So I went to go find my little furnishings. I found 4 purple little thin washcloths, a couple of towels, I found a cheap coffee maker, and I need a coffee mug, and I found this. It's got pink on the inside. It was $1.49. And I thought, okay, well, I'm really not a zebra person. I kind of like the pink on the inside, but it would work. $1.49. So I purchased my 2 towels, my 4 washcloths, my coffee pot, and had my cup. And I may have gotten a fork or 2 or something. I'd already found a couple of plates somewhere. And then took that to my apartment, and then I hiked down to the Hudson River to get some groceries. And made sure I got my coffee. So when I woke up the next morning and I went in the kitchen, I got everything. I could not wait for this cup of coffee, to have in my own room. I realized I'd forgotten the filters. I didn't have any filters. So I took one of the 4 purple washcloths and used that as a filter. Just so you know, that washcloth's never been the same. It was a pretty lavender, and now it's, I don't really have a word for it's kind of was, isn't anymore, not sure what it is color. But you know what? I enjoyed that cup of coffee. I didn't care if it was a little fuzzy with washcloths. It wasn't. It was in the filter. But I knew what true love was because someone had said, we want to invest in you and we don't ever want to be paid back. It was a turning point for me in New York. And then 5 years after I got out, a volunteer in the shelter wrote Brandon Stanton, who writes Humans of New York. Changed my life again. Again, he gave to me without expecting anything in return. That's what love is about. So if you're struggling on Valentine's Day because you don't have any romance in your life, or the supposed romance that you have isn't going well, or you're trying to decide if you got to get out of this situation, maybe you need to step back and define what true love is and reframe it for yourself. For me now, true love is being able to look in the mirror. I don't do it very often, but to look in the mirror and go, I'm proud of you. Hey, I'm quirky as hell, okay? I've got a lot of flaws, but I'm proud of the woman that I am and I'm becoming. There's so much more ahead of me. I give myself grace. Another thing that I think is important, and I think this served me well in the homeless shelter. I don't know at what point in the 4 months, but one night I got in my bunk and was praying quietly to myself. And I found myself saying, thank you, God, that I'm warm, safe, and dry. And I kind of paused. It kind of surprised me. I don't think one time I ever said, oh, thank you, God, I'm in a homeless shelter. Thank you that I'm homeless. Wasn't thankful for that. But I was in the homeless shelter in November, December, January, February, cold months. And what mattered was I was warm, I was safe, and I was dry. 3 things that could have easily not been true. So maybe today, on Valentine's Day, if you can find a nugget of time, 5 minutes, maybe 10, find your little corner somewhere and just go, I'm going to reframe love. Make sure you're giving with no expectations. But learn to accept love that may not look exactly like you like it. If you need to, go find you a $1.49 cup. It's super cheap. But I loved my little mug that I could drink my coffee, filtered by a purple washcloth. My cigars that I designed, I should say, are 7, and the 7 is called a Churchill length, and the gauge around it is 54. I did those 2 numbers on purpose. 7, because I had 7 difficult years in New York. And 7 means completion. And I feel like I completed a season of learning who I am. And 54 because I was 54 years old when I escaped on the side of the interstate. I've come a long way. I'm proud of this cigar. I'm proud of the life I get to live. There's so much more to learn, to accomplish, to figure out. But you know what? I love who I am. I give myself love, and I am loved by the community I'm in, the cigar world, my Harlem guys, by you, and that means a lot. Do I have romance in my life? No, I don't. But pure love, true love, really, that's all that matters. Step back today, reframe. Give thanks for the little things. And as always, look to the light. Just call me the lady with the cigar, and as always, I'm sending love.